I'm Dr. Hackey Reitman. Welcome to another episode of Exploring Different Brains. Today we're so lucky to have with us Karen Prescod, the founder of BowTie Gurl, the founder of BowTie Kids, where she helps so many children. And she's an international best-selling author. She's an empowerment speaker, and she's a pleasure to have here. Thank you for coming, Karen.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So tell us how you got into all this. You're doing so much on so many fronts. You got your own lifestyle line. You got the BowTie for kids. You got everything going on. How did this all start? What's happening?
Well, I like to say I'm a serial entrepreneur. Came from a background in the corporate world. However, through my journey, I encountered some health challenges. Went through some surgery, and through that process of healing, BowTie Kids and the BowTie Gurl was born.
What kind of surgeries did you have? What kind of problems were you having?
So, back in 2003, I believe, I had my first neck surgery. But it took about 3 years to find out what was going on with me because I was having severe headaches, neck pain, shoulder pain. They were telling me it was stress. So I had about 3 different doctors. And by the third one, they're like, we know exactly what's wrong. So they sent me to a specialist. They did an MRI on my neck, realized I had sort of cervical issues, and I needed surgery eventually. But I went through the whole process of having injection, physical therapy. None of those things worked. They actually made it worse. So I had that first neck surgery back in 2003. It took 8 weeks. Everything was back to normal. The doctors say maybe 5 to 10 years. And right about 5 years, I needed another surgery for my neck. For my C4 to 7 is currently fused. And that second surgery just did not go as well as I had hoped. It actually took me into a dark path of my life. It took longer to heal. The pain was way worse than when I went in, and it left me unable to use my right leg, and kind of almost like a vegetable.
Well, it looks like it hasn't done you much harm in the long term. You're doing good now. So you had to adapt a very positive outlook going forward.
I had to, in order to heal, I had to, first I thought like my life was over, and I had given up. So once I realized, listen, I have a purpose on this earth for me, I had to take a deeper look inside and fight through that to fulfill that purpose.
So you've decided to devote yourself to helping kids with chronic pain.
Yes.
And then on the serial entrepreneur side, you've decided to come out with a lifestyle brand. Tell us first about your brand.
So the BowTie Gurl really is about being confident, being courageous, and just being yourself, being you. It's really an empowerment statement of embodying yourself, expressing yourself, just standing in your own power and being okay with that and emanating from that where people just can see and feel the energy of who you are and just living through to yourself.
Now, do you design the fashion line yourself?
I do. So the BowTie Gurl was born because in a meditation process that I had, a question came up that if I had one thing to do in this world and I know it would succeed for sure, what would I do? And I wanted to always have a fashion line. And wearing a bow tie, the first time people just started calling me the BowTie Gurl. So like, what a great ring and a great name for a business. And it allowed me to start the fashion dream, that path that I'm on, by simply being able to make it from home with my hands. So that's kind of how that was born. And it really embodies me, it embodies who I have become from the inside out. The person that stands in confidence, stands in openness, stands in growth, stands in supporting people, just being able to give people a safe space to just be, and I'm proud of that. And that's process to my journey.
Now, tell us the specific tools that you might recommend for somebody in our audience who might be experiencing chronic pain, which affects many.
Yes. Well, the first thing I did was a lot of research because I was on a lot of medication that was just didn't seem to be helping, but it was helping, just masking the issue. And my journey really started when I started meditating, really going on the inside. And it was a struggle. It was a struggle because, your mind drifts and you hear all these different things. You try to keep your mind silent. So I did a lot of research on that. I started with guided meditations. I find different voices didn't really suit me, like male voices better than female voices, different tones. And I wanted to give up, but I didn't give up because I was like, okay, what else are you doing? You just get to keep trying until you figure this thing out. And then I nailed it. And I figured out what was working for me. And I just continued to do that. Eventually now I went in from meditating for an hour, sometimes 2 hours, because I love being in that space. Now, so much time, I have to cut it down. Some days 5 minutes will work for me, 10 minutes will work for me. I can do that in the middle of the day. I can meditate in the middle of driving. I can center myself. It's just amazing.
Well, I think you should have, if you haven't already, because you're a serial entrepreneur, the BowTie Gurl app for meditation and mindfulness.
There you go. I love that.
I'll try it.
I love that idea.
Well, it's funny because I've just started using a couple of different apps for mindfulness, which I find very helpful. And it's the convenience of having it right there on your phone. And you can do it for 5 minutes, you can do it for 10 minutes, and it's a good space to be in. And I've just started it, and I got to say, I really feel the difference the days I don't do it compared when I do take the 5 or 10 minutes to do it.
It is. It makes a huge difference in your life. And it's, for me, it's a big part of my healing. Yes, I changed the way I ate, I juiced, I did a lot of things. I started exercising. But meditation it helped me sleep better because I was going through insomnia. I couldn't sleep. So changing the routine of going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time, my body eventually found a natural flow without having to set an alarm as to how much time my body actually needed. But all that's from going on the inside. And then hearing the message. For me, meditation is about listening, right? I believe praying is about asking and talking, and meditation is about listening for the message, and whatever that message is. So you get silent in order to hear the message. It's okay if you're thinking. It's not okay. For me, it's not about grabbing onto the thoughts, but just paying attention to them, like watching a movie when they come.
And what would be the best way for somebody to start that for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes? What would be some of the suggestions you might have?
I would suggest a guided meditation because you actually have somebody there guiding you through the process. And even in a 5-minute meditation, your mind could stray when you're just starting to meditate. It's just so easy for the mind to go back. But they say that if you focus on your breathing, it brings you back center and present. Because if you're focusing on your breathing, you can't think about the past or the future. You're only thinking about the now. And with meditation, healings come from just being present in the now.
Good advice. It's so interesting. We talk about things that are good for us in so many ways. So a couple of tools we mentioned: diet, like a good diet, which means not eating a whole bunch of processed stuff, and we can say the Mediterranean diet or this diet or that diet, but a healthy diet definitely rewires your brain. And it also, the studies are showing, you'll get less cancer, less heart disease, you'll live longer. Same thing with exercise. So it's all the same stuff. And mindfulness and meditation is right there in there with the newest studies that are coming out that show on the active brain scans the actual rewiring of your brain. And it's amazing to me that we as a civilization, we know these things, but we won't do them.
Yes, that is so true. I agree with you. We sometimes are impatient, and I had to remind myself, what else am I doing? I'm impatient about wanting to figure out meditation, but what else am I doing? Sitting down watching TV? That's not doing anything for me. I still can't sleep in the night, and I don't like how I'm feeling. And it's a really reason I actually started meditating to try to help me sleep, but it brought so much more to my life. It brought a centeredness because I was angry for a long time. I was angry at God. I was angry at the world. I was angry at myself. Meditation really kind of like helps some to that.
Now, in this era where we're having an epidemic of opioid addiction, teen depression, and suicide and things, but let's just for a minute talk about the addiction. You had chronic pain, and you were given prescriptions and pills. Did you get addicted at any point?
My body absolutely did. Um, I believe I don't have an addictive personality mentally, but eventually I saw where my body was actually addicted to the opioid. Um, I remember maybe about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, I started noticing that I had to feed, I was wearing a fentanyl patch, and I started noticing two different types of pain in my body. And I was like, that doesn't seem like the original pain. And so I started paying attention to it and realizing that I had to feed. There's a pain that was coming from the opioid that was making my body hurt even more. And when I realized that, and I looked at it closely and I started measuring it, I was like, I gotta get off of this thing. And so I started doing a lot of research and realizing I can get off of this thing. And through dandelion tea, stinging nettle, like beets, celery, just juicing those things every day. 3 times a day, I was drinking the tea, so I was boiling the tea down till it was concentrated. Because remember, there's years of all the stuff that's inside of my body, right? This is just 2 years ago. I've been taking opioid, oxy, fentanyl patch, Flexerol, you name it, gabapentin. You name it. I just was on everything. So it was years that I'd built up in my body. And I took myself off of that, and it was tough. It was tough. I wanted to give up at some point. It took about 3 or 4 months, and that was not too bad. But because I was just centered on, I got off of meat, I got off eating starch, I got off eating carbs. I did a lot of research that chickpeas was good, have a lot of protein, lentil peas, red beans. I did all this research of what type of vegetables is better for me to eat. I paid attention to my body. And I just was very mindful with everything I was doing. And it just made such a difference than taking pills. Such a difference. That's amazing. I'm like, why didn't I do this before?
Well, because many times, one reason is, many times we don't stop to take a deep breath and think, what am I doing? We're just in a rush. We're doing it, putting food on the table. We're taking care of business. We're doing all our obligations. And one of the side products of mindfulness and meditation is to actually stop and think about, why am I eating this? And do I really want to do that? And what don't I want to do? And so you've really come a long, long way.
I have.
Tell us about your writing, because you've had some books and doing other things. Tell us about that.
So I have some more writing to do, but I was able to just capture a snapshot of what I've been through in the last few years. Um, and why the BowTie Gurl was born and why BowTie Kids was born. And it's really telling a journey about me. I've been in this space where I was diagnosed with CRIP, complex regional pain syndrome. And it's the nerve damage that's my central nerves. And it's a pain that is, they say it's the most painful pain. Nerve pain is just painful. Um, and so I wanted to give the readers just a snap view of inside of my journey and letting people know that, you know what, you can overcome. Look where I am today. Depression, anxiety, panic attacks, attempted suicide, but I felt like I had no reason to live on this earth, and I was just existing. Um, because I went from being independent to being dependent on people to bathe me, help feed me, pay my bills, and that mental toll alone by itself. And then you add the pain with it. Oh, I don't know which one came first, the pain and then that. I don't know. It just took me into a dark path. So I wanted to share that with the readers and give them hope that guess what? You can overcome this. And also, there's somebody who is here to listen. You can reach out because sometimes some of the hardest things to do is to have a conversation with somebody that don't understand what you are going through. So the fact that I've been through those journeys give me allow people to have a safe space to just really open up.
How can our audience learn more about you?
Okay, so I do have a website called it's KarenPrescod.com. I also have the BowTie Gurl, and Girl is spelled with a U. But KarenPrescod.com will tell you a lot about me, and you can also follow me on Facebook. Um, kind of an open book.
Tell us more about BowTie Kids.
My passion. The reason I believe I'm on this face, one of the big reasons I believe I'm on this face of this earth. Um, BowTie Kids is about courage and confidence with kids that are living with chronic pain. But it's not just about the kids. It's about their siblings and the caretaker of their parents as well. Because we all know that it takes everyone. Based on my experience at the time, I didn't understand why my partner at the time was having a hard time with what I was going through, and I was one that was in pain. But now I'm outside of it. I understand like she also was suffering too, and so it's a big part to have the caretakers and the sibling involved in this. It's based on the 5 empowerment principles. So it's self-discovery, it's self-awareness, it's self-worth, self-expression, and social engagement and advocacy. And those were born because of my personal journey itself, that the things that I struggled with when I was going through what I was going through. I wasn't able to express myself. I knew I was hurting, and all I could say is I'm hurting. I don't know what the pain feels like. I just crying, just help me. So I wasn't able to do that. I wasn't able to articulate how I was feeling to anyone, the doctors, the people around me. I just knew I was just feeling pain. Um, and this confident person now just had no feel like she had no value anymore in this world, and nobody cared. Um, and I'm almost kind of taking myself back there. I can start feeling it when I do that. My tears kind of wants to surface. Clearly, there's some healing still to be done, and really becoming aware of myself and discovering. So, and I did that through planting. Right, I was watching some of my plants as I was taking care of them, not taking care of them, depends on what was happening with me in my life. If I'm taking care of them, they were healthy, they were green, they were growing fabulously. When I'm not taking care of myself, I wasn't taking care of my plants, they were drying up because I wasn't watering them, I wasn't talking to them, there wasn't light, I wasn't taking the dead leaves off. And that's what self-discovery and nurturing oneself was about for me. I'm like, this is really interesting. So meditation did a lot of things. I was so present with a lot of things in my life. But at 5 empowerment principles, I was like, wow, we all need that, right? We all get to focus on that. And through meditation and yoga, through art, through music, um, through engaging with others, I wanted to be alone. I didn't want to be bothered. I didn't want you to ask me anything. I didn't want you to check on me. I want help, but I don't want help. I was frustrated. I was fatigued. And naturally, I'm an introvert. So that didn't help. I just really wanted to be alone. And that was really detrimental, really, in the end for me, of where I wanted to intend to take my life because it's not healthy.
Can you talk about the value psychologically and emotionally of dressing up and having a personal brand?
I feel a sense of empowerment. I feel a sense of ownership. I feel a sense of freedom. Just being able to just be me allows me to feel free and be in the flow. And what happens is people embrace that. When you become who you are from the inside out, people are attracted to that. They are attracted to that confidence, that level of self-expression, that level of you just being able to be you. And they admire that. It's just, I just feel powerful. It's, I don't even know what else to explain it. It's just really very powerful, to be able to just be free.
And with that comes the self-esteem.
Yes. The self-esteem rises, the self-worth rises. I mean, things in life that you want and just thought about just starts to happen with ease, very little resistance. And if you have resistance, it's just part of life. It's, it's not hard. It's okay. It's just for me to take a different detour. But self-esteem rises from just being yourself and then watching people just accept you for who you are and just embracing you.
Tell us the value, from your point of view, of having a job, going to work, having a career, getting dressed, going out there, and working.
I've worked all my life, and I've worked for corporate America. And one day I decided, I worked so hard, and I've, risen number one, taking things from the bottom and taking, here, I can do this for myself. And then when I got sick and I was on my butt and I became dependent on other people, it really sucked the life out of me. I had to get in a space with that to even accept that's where I was at a time in my life in order for it to even be easier and be in the flow. But with going through that journey, when I started to be able to walk with a cane and all that stuff, I still got out there and I was in the world, still moving because I wanted more for myself. But not only that, after attempting to take my life, and God showed me, listen, I got a greater purpose for you. I know that I had to just keep moving one foot at a time. I always wondered, I'll come back to that a little bit. I always wonder why people retire and go back into work, right? If I was a multimillionaire today, I always wonder, people have so much money, they're still working. There's a sense of empowerment for that, to keep doing good, to keep moving, to keep learning, to keep your brain functioning as much as you can. That's where a lot of happiness comes from, being around people and being able to share and being able to grow. I mean, I love growing. I love seeing people grow and shift too. So being able to get up and get dressed and leave the house and work for myself, but when you work for yourself, you work more hours than when you're working for somebody else. But it's great. You still have the freedom and the flexibility. It's empowering. It's empowering to be able to do that. But it's also, for me, it's also empowering when I wasn't able to do that, to be able to find peace in wherever I was at the time. And accepting that's where I am allowed me to be able to move forward in other areas of my life. So accepting this is where I am today. I'm not able to walk. I'm having trouble sleeping. Okay, what am I going to try to do about it? Not beating myself up about it, but trying to figure out some way out of it and being okay with that. And knowing that one day, wherever I'm at, physically, emotionally, I just get to accept and be in the flow. Because they say there's always going to be pain, but you don't always have to suffer, right? And that's kind of really, for me, I was in pain, but I was also suffering. And then I got to a point where I was in pain and then I wasn't suffering. So going to work is an empowering feeling.
What has BowTie Kids been up to these days?
Finding our first Courage and Confidence Awards with a fashion show. I like to add with a fashion show because the fashion show is about challenging the societal norms of what models are supposed to be like. So pretty excited about that. we get to like, everybody gets to be free and happy and embrace this courage and confidence. No matter what you look like, what background you look like, what size you look like, whether you're transgender, whether you're black, you're white, whether you're in a wheelchair, we just want to challenge all that on the runway in May when we have a Courage and Confidence Awards.
Where can our audience learn more about that fashion?
So I would go to BowTieKids.org. We'll keep you updated there, and also on BowTie Kids Facebook page. Yes, so we're very excited because it's going to be It's going to be 5 awards. Each one is going to be based on the 5 empowerment principles. One of them, the community gets to be engaged in choosing one of those winners for the award. So it's going to be awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, it's been a pleasure having you here, Karen Prescod. BowTie Girls with a U and BowTie Kids. Thank you so much, and I hope you'll come back again real soon.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. This has been great, highlighting BowTie Gurl and BowTie Kids. And you got it with a U. That's awesome.
All right, have a good one, Karen.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Exploring Different Brains is a production of Different Brains, Inc. For more information, visit us at differentbrains.org.